That's spectacular. Okay, so let's talk about last night. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. So it was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have not blown my leaves yet. So if you live where your leaves fall, you have to blow them off your yard. You have to get rid of the leaves because they'll cause damage to your grass and stuff. So, two of my cats are about ready to beat the crap out of each other. Oh man, I didn't, hold on a second, stand by. Zoe, come here. Come here, Zoe. Come here. Come here. I forgot to put my dog on her leash. She was gonna wander off and get in trouble. Anyway, so I was gonna go blow the leaves, and then I'm about ready to walk outside to start blowing the leaves off my lawn, which is gonna take a few hours. And my wife looks at me and she says, "Hey, let's do something crazy." And I was like, what's that? And she says, "Let's drive up to Traverse City and get some food." And I'm like, "That's 3 hours away." And she's like, "Yeah, but you got to do something crazy every so often in your life." And I was like, "Well, you know, I have a stream tonight." And she's like, "Just cancel it." And I was like, "Well, you know, I have work to do." And she's like, "Yeah, just tell your boss you're sick." And I was like, "Okay, let's go." And so yesterday we drove and got food and stayed the night there, and then drove home today and stuff. So yeah, and I had to take a shower before the stream today, so that's why I'm late. So anyway, that was our crazy stuff that we did yesterday, which is why the stream was moved from yesterday to today, because we did crazy stuff and we drove and got food and stayed the night in a different city and then drove home in the morning. And yeah, so that was my crazy life right there. Okay, let's go to the cats now, because the cats are over here trying to kill each other. Go to the cat cam. Here we go. This is gonna be great. This is the way to start the stream off. Cats trying to kill each other. This is gonna be great. I can just sit here and wait for it. Rachel says, "Thank you for showering." I felt so nasty. I was, did I take a shower yesterday? Yeah, I did. I took a shower. I was like, because I didn't shower because I was going to blow the leaves off the lawn. I was going to take a shower afterwards. And then I did shower before we left though. But I didn't shower this morning. I usually do. Wait, yeah, no, you know what? I normally shower in the afternoon after I go to the gym. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I didn't shower this morning because I was in a hurry to get home so I can get some work done. Because we released Lair magazine today. Like, Lair magazine came out this November's patron rewards come out today, and so I was like, I gotta get home and get these things out because, you know, people probably want these things. And so I just rushed home. So we got up and just took off from the hotel to come home and stuff. Of course, there were detours. We had to stop and get pasties, and we ate a pasty, and then, you know, that stuff. Got home. But anyway, yeah, I did take a shower right before the stream. Oh, Squirty Pie wussed out and she ran away. But yeah, I did take a shower. I was thinking, you know, I probably shouldn't smell bad for my stream. People might not like that. So yeah, that's my story right there. How you guys all doing? Oh, I'm not supposed to be doing this yet. Hold on, we're supposed to go to the starting soon screen. Yeah, sorry. I screwed this whole stream up. We just kind of started right off the bat, so we should probably just do it then. We're late anyway. All right. So, how do we normally start the streams off? Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to do the thing. All right, hold on a second. All right, here you go. Here you go. This is the way to do it. I gotta push 2 buttons. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. This content is brought to you by Lair Magazine. Are you a busy dungeon master without enough time to create content for your D&D game? Would you like professional, pre-made 5th edition adventures and other resources you can drag and drop into your existing campaign? If so, Lair Magazine has exactly what you need. Every issue of Lair Magazine comes with 2 5th edition adventures, maps designed for use on virtual tabletops, and other dungeon master resources. New monsters, puzzles, traps, magic items, NPCs, pre-made encounters, and more. Become a DM Lair patron patron today to get a new issue of Lair magazine every month, along with loads of bonus content, such as additional 5th edition adventures and map packs with even more digital maps. DM Lair patrons also get extra perks, such as playing in D&D games with me, voting on the videos I make, access to my VIP Discord channel, a monthly video hangout over Zoom, and more. Click that link below to learn more and become a DM Lair patron today. Okay, so that was like my sleazy plug thingy for Lair magazine, but we just dropped November's issue today, and you really should check it out. If you're a patron already, it's available now. You can go download it from your patron reward pages. If you're not a patron, Lair magazine is designed to reduce your prep time, give you materials that are ready to go for you, easy to read and run at the game table, easy to reference, easy to find. These things they're better than what Wizards produces. You gotta trust me. You can prep your game way faster and run your game and reference things. It's beautiful. So anyway, if you haven't become a patron and gotten Lair magazine, you should think about doing so because it is a high quality resource. We also today, this is really cool. So when the Vecna adventure came out like a couple months ago, it was not favorably received by my team. All of us were like, this Vecna adventure is really pathetic. And the Vecna stat block is really pathetic. And so my team and I were like, yeah, we got to do better than this. This is really bad. And so we created our own Vecna version. I'll go to full camera now. We created our own version of Vecna, which is a CR30, an actual challenge like Vecna should be. Now we couldn't call it Vecna, obviously, for copyright and IP reasons and stuff. I don't know what Zach called it. Zach wrote the adventure. He called it something worthy, I suppose. And anyway, we made a real CR30 stat block, and we made a real level 20 adventure. A level 20 adventure that is actually challenging for a party of 5th edition characters. And so that released today. It's called The Lich Who Would Become a God is the name of the adventure. And it has the level 20 adventure, and then it has the new Vecna stat block, which you guys can get. Now, the thing is, though, of course, that everything that released today is exclusive to DM Lair patrons. So the Lair magazine that came out today, the map packs that came out today, and this new Vecna adventure that came out today, they're all exclusive to DM Lair patrons for the first 2 months. So in January, it'll go up on the store and you can get it then. But patrons get it now. You get first dibs at it because you're patrons and you guys are awesome. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Really excited about that Vecna stat block. We can do something a little better than what they gave us. So I'm not prideful about it necessarily. I just think that I don't know what they were doing. I don't think it was that hard to do it. Zach probably, Zach's a genius, but he figured it out. I'm sure Wizards could have done it if they wanted to, but for some reason they decided to give us a watered down version of Vecna and a watered down adventure. I don't know what their reasons were for it, but they did it the way they did it for some motivation, whatever that happens to be. But anyway, you can get it if you want to. And let's do our kickoff stuff, and then we're going to do some questions. I saw a really good question, by the way, from Just a Person, and I want to get to your question, Just a Person, because that is a beautiful question. Moderators, if you could make sure his question gets in the list, because he didn't put the hashtag question mark before it, but it's a great question and I want to talk about it. Okay, I got to do the stuff. All right, here we go. Check this out. All right, where's the stuff? Woo! All right, you are seeing on screen now the names of beautiful people. These are all patrons and YouTube channel members who help support the content that we create, and I'm so deeply appreciative to them. These folks here, they get Lair magazine every month. They get other bonus content. They get lots of cool stuff for helping to support what we make. And they help us to create all of the free adventures and free Dungeon Master resources that are over on the dmlair.com. They help us create Lair magazine, obviously, the map packs we create. They help us do the YouTube videos, these live streams. These guys help support these live streams. Like everything my team and I do, these guys help support. And so I'm very, very deeply appreciative of them. They are the ones that allowed me to go full time. They're the ones that allow me to pay my team to do what they do. So very, very appreciative. And these dudes right here, they pay me extra money. So they get their names read out loud every stream. Stand by. Here we go for the reading. 5e Magic Shop, Alex, Alex B, Alex S, Amanda W, Ambers, Andrew M, Andrew S, Andre U, Andy S, Andy W, Angelique K, Antoine B, Arrow Odd, Arutha, Ashley, Baldwin, Bardabear, Benjamin B, Benjamin P, Berncastle, Brandon A, Brandon C, Carl C, Celestina K, Christopher C, Chris C, Chris C, Christopher S, Clay W, Cody B, Contrary Gravy, Daniel S, Daz Was Up, David S, Derek E, Double D, Dog, Dresna, Duty K, Dutch, Edward R, Edward L, M Frabo, Eric B, Erno T, Fabian H, Flux, Forest Blue, Brew, Gabriel R, Gallus, Gary V, Jean A, Jeff R, Goliath Cleric, Gravy Chorn, Harlan S, Heather L, Helltongue, Iron Cascade, It's Bayoban, Izzy T, Jack, Jace F, Jackie Pizza, Jacob L, Jacob K, James L, Jan F, Jessica J, Jim P, JM, Joan P, Joe D, Joe E, John A, John C, John P, Jordan G, Joseph H, Josh R, Josh S, Joshua R, Joshua W, Justin W, K, Cal S, KK, Keith L, Kevin F, Kezides, Kirby, Curie Claw, Kyle M, Labradorworks, Lionheart, Luke L. Nice name, Luke L. Huh. Magna N, Marty M, Marwin R, Matt B, Matthew J, Michael Matthew W, BQC, Michael L, Mike S, Mirostal, Mitchell, Mr. Lankanoom, Nerd with Glasses, Ol S, Owen D, Penguin Butt, Pork Chop Bacon, Psycho John, Published Author, Radiance Guardians, Ramus, Ramsey, Razlik, Race W, Rebar, Renner C, Richard M, Robert C, Robert G, Robert J, Ron R, Ronald, Ryan, S.C. John Saunders, Sakura, Sam B, Scott V, Shadow 1317, Shane L, Sheila A, Snowy Tiggy, Son of a Sofa Man, Soul Naya, Stephen G, Stephen T, Stephen A, Silik R, Tactical Tokens, Tiora H, Terran, Terry V, The Three Quarters Hospital, The Old DM, The Pickle, The New Bed, Ombre, Thiago P, Thomas C, Thomas F, Thomas T, Tiger 500, Tim Black, Timothy T, Tom C, Tommy T, Traveling Cash, Travels the Lost, Tyler H, Tyler R, Valagor, Vincent G, Vladimir S, Volhoff V, Will M, William C, William H, Worth a Lot, XX Red Drum, Zachary J. Cool, thank you, appreciate that. Okay, cool, we have a giveaway going on tonight. There's a link down in the chat. Hopefully the bot is going to work tonight and you can sign up for the giveaway with the link in the chat. We got the giveaway going on. We'll draw the winner to that at the end of the stream tonight too. And what else we got going on? Oh yes, we are raising money as well. We are trying to help Canines for Warriors. Let me go over to their thing, go to the right monitor. That's the wrong monitor. Okay, now we have to set up our monitor. Our monitor gets screwed up. You guys are seeing like stuff. This is top secret. I don't know why this gets screwed up every day. Every time I do this, I got this thing screwed up. Squeaky, you're bothering me. All right, let's set this up again. Properties. Display 3. There we go. Okay, cool. I got it figured out. I am professional. Okay, anyway, this is Canines for Warriors website. Basically, it tells you what they do. These guys are the nation's largest provider of service dogs for veterans. They basically go to high kill shelters, they rescue dogs, and then they train the dogs to be service dogs for veterans. All right, so these guys are doing lots of good work. We're trying to raise money for them. If you would like to contribute, you can tip. All tips will go to these dudes. Once we get $500, we'll make the donation. That little bar on the screen, the green and red right there, shows you how close we're getting. I think we're around $100 or so raised so far. So if you want to contribute, please feel free to do so. We would love for you to be able to join us in helping these dudes out in the awesome mission that they have. All right, cool. So we got the giveaway, we got the donation for those dudes. Okay, I think we checked our boxes. We can go to the questions now. Sweet. Okay, this is the question from Just a Person. Are there any good solutions to players splitting up without doing one at a time and players getting bored? This is beautiful. So, I would say that if you have a party that's constantly splitting up, 2 players go off this way, or 1 player goes this way, 1 player go this way, what dungeon masters traditionally do is we will basically run several games at the same time. When these 2 people go off this way, we'll tell them what they see, and then they'll tell us their actions, and we'll adjudicate, and they'll do some stuff, and we'll kind of run this game over here. All the other players are kind of just waiting and doing nothing, getting bored. And then we'll do that for about 15 minutes, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, something. It depends on what's going on, right? And then you go to the other player who was over by himself, and you do the same thing for that player. Everybody else is just kind of watching, getting bored. And then that person gets his time, and then we go to the next people over here who are off doing a thing, and then everybody else is just watching and getting bored. And then we kind of do that when you have a split party. Like you're essentially running multiple games at the same time because your beautiful, wonderful players have decided that they want to split up. And so what happens is, obviously you have the players who are kind of not playing, they're waiting for the other group to get done and they're getting bored. And then you have the dungeon master who basically has to run multiple games at the same time and keep things straight in his head as he rotates among everybody and does the best that they can. And this is essentially what happens when you have a split party. And it's not desirable, generally speaking, to do that. And so the question is, how do you avoid that so that the players aren't getting bored? And I would say that the whole part of getting bored is not a flaw. That is part of the design. It's not a bug, it is a feature. When your players are constantly splitting up and waiting for each other and getting bored, let me ask the question, who decided to split the party? Who decided to inflict upon themselves the wonderful gift of boredom? Was it the dungeon master? Or was it the players? Did the players choose themselves to split the party so that they could wait for other people to finish up so they cannot play the game so that they can get bored? Yeah, it was the players who chose to do that. And so if the players chose to do that and the dungeon master is obliging them and they're getting bored as a result, that is, again, that is not a bug, that is a feature. All is well in the world. That is how it should be. They should be allowed to get bored. And the boreder they get because they're waiting for other people, and the more they dislike that, when you split the party, they don't get to play as much and they get bored, the more they dislike that and the more they're allowed to do it, and they're just like, wow, this is bad. When we split the party, we get bored and we can't play the game. Maybe, just maybe, there's like a shred of hope that they will stop splitting the party, because when they split the party, they get bored. And so that is one magical solution. It's just sit back and allow it to happen. If they choose to split the party, well, then they choose to be bored. They're literally choosing that. I almost never, as a dungeon master, present scenarios where splitting the party is necessary. I prefer not to have them split the party, so I'm not going to do things that will make them think that they need to in order to win. Now, they might get it in their heads that they should, but I'm never trying to put a scenario for my players that will want them to split the party. That's the first thing you can do. Let it happen. Let it happen. Let them learn from their own failure not to split the party. The second thing you can do, and what I suggest and what I do, is remember, the world does not change based upon your players' poor decisions. So if there is, let's pretend they're in the middle of a dungeon you have designed, an adventure you have designed, and there are encounters, and the encounters were designed for a group of 5 players. 5. And they decide to split the party. So when these 2 players who went off by themselves come upon an encounter that was designed for 5 players, guess what's probably going to happen? It's going to be time to get on the struggle bus and ride that struggle bus to wherever it takes you. Probably a world of pain, maybe retreating, maybe bad things happen, maybe they just win and they go running back and they're like, hey, splitting the party was a bad idea because this adventure was designed for 5 players. I do not magically adjust my adventures because they decide to split the party. If the monsters are what they are, the world is what it is. If you guys decide to split up, you're still going to run into the same challenges and the same encounters that you would have run into if you had stayed together. And so this is another thing that you can do. Don't change things. Be like, well, Luke, I mean, if he goes off by himself, he could die. Yeah, he could. That is his right to make that decision. Do not deny your player the agency to make bad decisions. When we deny them the agency to make bad decisions, that is just as bad as denying them agency in any other situation. You can't say, well, that, you know, he might have died, you know. Yeah, that's his choice to make. Do not cheapen his choice. Allow him to make his choices. Allow her to do those things. And when they do those things, and then the results are perhaps less than desirable because they made bad decisions, in this case going off alone or going off, it would be 2 or 3 of them instead of the entire party, well, then they learn, hey, you know, that was a bad idea. You know, those monsters are pretty tough. Maybe we should stick together, because remember, we're designing group games, generally speaking, and I advocate group games. That's the, if you're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons with your friends around a table, let's play it as a group. Let's play a group game. So I will always design adventures for the group. I run group games. And when you split up and you do things, when you're in a group game, the world's not changing. And so you're gonna run into situations that you can't handle by yourself, which leads us back to the players perhaps learning from those decisions and saying, hey, you know what? That was really tough when we split the party. Maybe we shouldn't split the party. And you know, not only was the adventure more difficult when we split the party, but man, half of us were bored half of the time because we weren't playing the game half of the time. So not only was it more challenging, but it wasn't as fun. Maybe we should not split the party. Maybe that's a good idea. So we got 2 solutions. Essentially, it involves the dungeon master doing nothing. Nothing, you do nothing. You design your game, you run your game, your players make their decisions, and they suffer whatever results happen as a result of their decisions. This is not a problem you even need to seek to solve in many cases, because it might just work itself out naturally. Now, the third thing that you can do as well, and this is something I will generally tell my players, especially if it's a new game we're starting up and there are new players, I'll tell them, hey guys, you know, I run group games. So just be aware that this game is designed for all of you. The adventures are designed for all of you. Yeah, you know, if you want to stick together, that's probably preferred, because it'll probably be a more fun experience for everybody. And all of the challenges were designed for all of you. So if you split up, it's going to be harder. But I'm not going to stop you from splitting up. Like, you're welcome to split up if you want to. Just be aware that there might be certain ramifications. So I will tell my players this. I'm not going to just, you know, because who knows what their prior experience was, if anything. Maybe they came from dungeon masters who coddled them and made sure that nothing ever happened to their dear precious players, because, oh my gosh, wouldn't that just be horrible? If in a game where you're swinging swords and casting fireballs, there's a possibility of death, that would just be unfathomable. How could you possibly contemplate such a thing? You know, whew. So, but maybe they came from a game like that, right? And so I want to make sure they know, you know, how I run my games and this is how things work. So, you know, set expectations, that sort of thing. Because you never know where they came from, or maybe they didn't come from a game. Maybe they've never played DnD before. Maybe they came from computer games, where computer games are, well, I mean, they differ. I know that back when I first started playing computer games, like, they were brutal. Like, it was hard to beat the games. It was hard. Nowadays, many of the computer games are pretty easy. You have save points and you could just reload it and just keep trying and trying. Now, that may not be true for everything. I know there's a variety of games out there and I don't know all of them, you know, but maybe they came from games where there are save points and you get infinite mulligans and there's no ramifications to dying because you just load again, you know. So you want to let them know when they're coming to D&D for the first time, especially, that, hey, this is how things are, at least in my game. So set those expectations. But yeah, those are pretty much the 3 things that I do. I think the onus on this in a large part is on the players. You know, they're the ones making those decisions, which probably are bad decisions. So, hey, you know, let them just work that out naturally, is what I say. All right. What was I doing? Answering questions. Cool, let's find a new question. One of my players is a paladin, and his backstory is that the gods were plotting to kill him and his family. How should I work that into my campaign? I don't know, dude. That's up to you, dude. These are the way I answer my questions. I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I'm not gonna do your work for you, man. You know, heartless and cruel. I'm not doing your work for you. Like, think about it, man. Figure it out. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's heartless and cruel for me to say that, but this is your job as a dungeon master. Like figure it out, man. Think of things. Put your role play the deities that want to kill your paladin's character. What are the deities going to do? Think about it. You are a deity that wants to kill your player's paladin. Okay, cool. What are you gonna do? Oh, I'm just gonna show up and just kind of, as the deity's avatar, just strike him down. And then he's dead. Yeah, but that's not fun for gameplay, is it? Okay, cool. That's not gonna work. No, throw that one out. All right, what else are you gonna do? Well, you know, I'm a deity. I have followers. I have a bunch of people that follow me. I could send them after him. Yeah. Why don't you appear to a high cleric of your order and give him a vision of this paladin and tell him that he's supposed to go hunt him down and destroy him as a heretic? Okay, cool. Hey, now we're onto something. Sweet. And so the high priest now of the deity's order is organizing the followers, getting them whipped up into a frenzy, and their goal is to find the paladin and bring the paladin in as a heretic and like execute him or something. Okay, cool. Now we can do something with that, can't we? Okay, cool. Now what's the high priest gonna do? Well, first of all, the high priest needs to find out where the paladin is. All right, you see, and now you're role playing. Now you're role playing. This is what dungeon masters do too. This is what you do. You put yourself in their shoes. You think about what actions they would take. Okay, cool. Now we have a high priest. Okay, now how is this going to intersect with the game? Sweet. The characters are traveling along, and then several followers of no, let's back up a little bit. Okay, the characters are traveling along, and they notice a person. Look at them, study them carefully, really stare at them a while, and then they leave. And the players are like, okay, what was that? And then they do some rolls and stuff, and it turns out that they noticed that this person was staring at the paladin, just really staring at the paladin. They go investigate a little bit. Maybe they find discarded in the alley a piece of paper that has a photo, like a hand-drawn photo of the paladin. And that's it. And they're like, oh my gosh, somebody was looking for the paladin. Who was looking for the paladin? I don't know. They don't figure anything out. Time goes by in the game. They do other stuff. And then all of a sudden, a group of people show up and attack the group. They attack them, and they're like, you know, they're trying to get the paladin. And then they find out that, oh, man, these people were going after the paladin. We got attacked because of the paladin. Hey, paladin, what's going on? Why did we get attacked? And the paladin's like, well, you know, I have some enemies. Oh, great. You have a deity that wants to kill you. And now his followers are going to be coming after us constantly. Great. And then the party's like, well, what are we going to do about this? Well, let's just forget about it for now. Because that's what they do a lot of times. And they're going to go do their things. And then, you know, maybe a few months later in the game, another group arrives and tries to kill them. Maybe the group goes after people they care about and holds them hostage somewhere and says, hey, the paladin's going to come in and turn himself over, or we kill the hostages. I don't know. Think about what they might do to try to get that paladin. Finally, the group resolves that, and they're like, you know what? This is bullcrap. We are tired of dealing with these stupid followers of that deity that wants to kill you, paladin. Now we're gonna go do something about it. And then they go off on an adventure to find that follower, to find that order, and like, I don't know, maybe they're gonna wipe them all out because they keep trying to have them assassinated and bring them in for justice. I don't know. That's up to your players. But you see, this is what you do. You just think. Right? You put yourself in the shoes of whoever it is in your game world, and you think about things. What you're looking to do is introduce conflict. You take the thing from their backstory and you say, how can I introduce conflict? That's your job as the dungeon master. Your entire job duty boils down to introducing conflict in the game world that intersects with the adventuring party. Because if there's a bunch of conflict over here, but it has nothing to do with the adventurers and they never learn about it, then who cares? They just go on and they do their thing. But if there's conflict and it somehow directly intersects with them and affects them in some way, well, that's your job. You introduce conflict. This is why we talk about having consequences for actions. This is why when players or characters make bad decisions, we write them down. We take notes on the future. Oh, they helped the Queen of Worms take over and defeat that black dragon, and now the Queen of Worms has full rulership over the swamp? Interesting. They helped the Queen of Worms because in the moment it helped them overcome the black dragon that they wanted to kill, and then they go on with their lives. But I'm writing that down because that Queen of Worms now rules that swamp. What's she gonna do next? Well, Silvery Moon is next door. What if she decides she wants to take over Silvery Moon as well? What happens then? So that's why we write that stuff down, because we want to introduce conflict. Anyway, that's the process. That's the process you take to figure out what to do from their backstory and how that intersects them. And that's the process, right? But it also has to do with your creativity and your thinking through it, you know. And you need to flex your muscles, right? Like, and this is one of the reasons. Like, I actually answered that question today. But most of the time, I don't like answering those questions because I don't want to give you an answer. I don't. Giving you a specific, like, I literally just gave you an answer. And if you go off and use that answer, you're going to have learned maybe very little. Because if we just give you the answer and it's like instructions of how to run your campaign, right? Then you're not learning. You're not learning how to do this yourself. And it's only going to serve you for the moment that little paladin and the heresy and stuff is going on. But then the next time you have somebody else's backstory, you're going to be like, well, what do I do now? I guess I go ask somebody. You got to start figuring out on your own, right? Flexing your own muscles and using, thinking it through. No. So I'll give you a process, right? Because a process is replicable. You can follow a process and do it over and over again. Replicate. You can replicate a process, right? But I don't like giving specific answers, right? Because I want you to learn how to do it yourself, and then that'll help you over the long run. It's the whole saying of, if you catch a man a fish or so, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, he'll eat forever, type of thing. I forget exactly how it goes, but that's the idea, right? So that's why I'm like hesitant, and I don't want to answer those questions because I'm afraid you're going to take my answer and go use it, which you shouldn't. You should come up with your own answer. That's the better way. An answer that you like, that you came up with, that you're going to implement, that you're excited about, using your creativity, right? So yes, thank you. Any advice on Dragon Heist and Dungeon of the Mad Mage? The first feels roleplay heavy, and the second feels like it has no roleplay element. That is completely false. That is the most falsest possible statement I've ever seen. Okay, Dungeon of the Mad Mage is filled with roleplay opportunity. Every single level of Dungeon, there was a YouTuber who made a video a while ago about Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and he was basically saying that it is a mindless dungeon crawl. That's just completely unimaginative. All right, Dungeon of the Mad Mage is amazing. It is filled with factions, almost every level. The ones that I looked at, I haven't read the whole thing, but the ones that I looked at had different factions, and the factions had conflicts and stuff. There's so much roleplay opportunity there, and you can take these. If you go to Dragon Heist, there are these different patrons, people that could be patrons of the party, or people that could be no, they didn't have them as patrons. They had them as principal antagonists. Like in Dragon Heist, you can choose who the antagonist is going to be, and that kind of influences, the final adventure that they go on. Well, you can also choose some of those to be patrons of the party. For instance, Jarlaxle and he has a band of thieves. I forget what they're called, but I chose Jarlaxle. He was going to be a patron of the party, and he was going to basically subsidize and help and pay them to do Dungeon of the Mad Mage afterwards. The campaign ended, we never got that far, but that was the plan. And so, but there was so much opportunity there for Jarlaxle to have his own motives and agendas, and then all these different factions that were on the different levels of Dungeon of the Mad Mage to also have their motivations and stuff, and to have roleplay possibilities. Complete and totally, you could put roleplay possibilities in there. It is not a mindless dungeon crawl. There is so much stuff going on in there. And again, this is you thinking, and this is you using your creativity to figure out how I can introduce role playing. And then one of the biggest ways you can introduce role playing options too is and especially if we want to talk about when we say role play, we're talking about like social interactions and talking with the enemies in the dungeon. Like, just don't have them attack first. just have them talk to the characters before they just start fighting, you know? And then you're going to at least have some social interaction going on. And then you can role play those enemies. You can role play those factions with their motivations. They don't just want to kill everybody that comes down there. They might be up to something different. So there's lots of opportunities in there. It just, the thing is that Wizards, when they wrote that module, they didn't really put that into your lap. It's there. The opportunity is there, but it takes a little bit of recognition of seeing it, and then your own you have to take the initiative and you have to develop it and you have to work on it a little bit, because the module as written has lots of opportunity there, but it doesn't, I don't think that it really explains and puts that before you as a really good option. It just it's kind of hidden. You got to see it and recognize it and then take it off on your own, you know, because but yeah, you can do a lot of stuff in there. There's lots of good stuff in there. Running Curse of Strahd for the first time. Any pointers? Strahd sucks. Strahd is a big wuss. Your players will kill him in like 2 rounds, especially if they have all 3 artifacts. If they manage to get all 3 artifacts, they're gonna kill Strahd like that. He's dead. You have to beef Strahd up like crazy. Beef him up. I ran Curse of Strahd for my group, and we finished now, and all of the videos are over on my second channel, the DM Lair streams. So if you want to watch our Curse of Strahd game, you're welcome to go do it. I saw a comment on there probably a week or 2 ago where somebody was like, so basically what I did to Strahd is, first of all, Strahd is practically a deity in his own realm. And so for Strahd, I was like, okay, I need to beef Strahd up, because Strahd is going to die so fast if I don't do something to make him more powerful. And I talked to Ed, who's our lead developer, and he told me some of the things that he did for Strahd, and I liked them. And so I took some of the stuff that he did for Strahd, and then I took some of my own ideas for Strahd. And so one of the things that my Strahd, and I'm pretty sure Ed gave me this idea, is that Strahd has anti-magic shield, I think it's anti-magic field, cast on himself. So magic cannot penetrate, and it's a concentration spell. And he's got a really good saving throw to maintain that concentration. And so you can't affect him by magic. And a lot of these things that these magical artifacts can do don't penetrate that field either. So Strahd is in an anti-magic field. I also, as a layer action, he could produce fog cloud. He could produce a cloud of fog all around him that was heavy obscured, and so people had a hard time seeing him and finding him. He would come in and attack, and then he would get back into the fog cloud, and you couldn't see him, you couldn't target him. So he was very hard to nail down, he was very hard to get at, and he had this anti-magic field around him, and he was just, and then of course he had all of his attacks and stuff that he could do, and then he had minions, he had waves of minions that were coming in as well. It was no joke. I made this intentionally to be very, very challenging for my players, because my players were, first of all, I think they were level 13 when they confronted Strahd. I think roughly 13. And my players are all very, very good players. Like, they build powerful characters, most of them, and they're very good at the game and combat, and they know what they're doing. And so I had to come with my big boy pants on, or Strahd was going to get killed in like 1 round. And so I did. I beefed Strahd up and I made him challenging. And a person left a comment on one of my Strahd videos, and they were like, Luke, you know, it's giving him anti-magic field and stuff like that is nerfing all of those artifacts. Like, what's the point of getting those artifacts if they don't do anything? And I'm like, dude, like that is the challenge. That is the challenge my players had to overcome. They had to figure out, okay, we got these artifacts, great. Strahd is doing all this stuff that makes the artifacts kind of not affect him. Great. How do we fix this? And then they went about fixing it. They went about trying to figure out how to get him to drop his anti-magic field. They tried to figure out how to get rid of the fog cloud. And they went about solving that challenge, solving that problem, which is exactly what was intended. It wasn't, all of those things weren't there to screw them over. It was there to increase the challenge so that it would be worthy of their intellect and ability as players. That was the intention, and it was challenging, and they eventually won, and it was great, right? So anyway, I don't know. I saw that comment and I was like, dude, yeah, you go run your game the way you want to run your game. I saw that guy's comment and I was like, you know what? I 100% guarantee, Mr. Commenter, that you have never played this module before. You might not have even been a dungeon master before. You might have no concept. Like, you criticize something that you've probably never done before. Because yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. I should answer some of the ones my moderators are flagging me to answer. They're like, Luke, answer the questions. Come on. What are some tips for maximizing player agency for or during a one-shot? Well, I don't see any reason that a one-shot should constrain their agency beyond one thing. The only thing that constrains their agency during a one-shot is that you essentially say, hello, this is a one-shot, and so this is the scenario that is prepared for you. You have no choice but to play that scenario. Beyond that, there's no constraints. Their agency is unaffected. Like, in a typical D&D campaign, you might say that the players have the option to wander the world and go do whatever they want to do. I would argue that that's not always the case, and it's maybe not the best practice. So even in a normal campaign, you still usually constrain their options. You give them plot hooks, and players understand there's a reason you follow the plot hooks, because hey, you know, the dungeon master has prepared an adventure. If we go on his adventure that he's prepared, it's probably going to be pretty fun. If we wander the world aimlessly, he's going to make up stuff on the fly. He's going to do the best he can do, and it's probably not going to be as good as if we go do the thing he prepared. So it depends on how you run your group. But in a one shot, it is different because you basically say, guys, this is the adventure. You're going to do the adventure. And so you are constraining their agency a little bit in that respect. However, beyond that, there are no constraints. They can do whatever. They have complete agency to overcome that situation. Whatever conflict or whatever problem exists in that adventure, they can do whatever is within their power to try to overcome it. Like, there's no other constraints upon them at all. They can go about it and address things and do it. It's not a problem. So beyond that one thing, I don't see anything that constrains their agency during a one shot. Advice for running a session or two adventure in the astral plane. Players are trying to find a MacGuffin in the astral sea. Put stuff there. You have to put stuff there. There has to be an asteroid there. There has to be a spaceship there. The astral plane is just completely empty. This is kind of like if you were to run an adventure on a normal world and it's just a big sea of grass. Everything is grass. As far as you can see, it's just grass. That's gonna get boring fast. That's why you have mountains, and you have caves, and you have castles, and you have dungeons, and you have cities, because it makes things interesting. So for the astral plane, you got to put stuff there. Asteroids, spaceships, the body of a dead god floating through there. Just think of stuff, figure it out. You can probably get enough to fill it up for a session or two. So just fill it up with stuff, and you'll be fine. How do you encourage players to talk to NPCs and search their surroundings instead of just looking for combat? I don't know. I feel like this is another one of those problems that solves itself. That, like, I'm thinking, what would I do if I were a dungeon master and I had a group like that? Well, this is I would probably have two reactions. First, I would do nothing. If they don't want to talk to NPCs, okay, then they're not talking to NPCs. And if they don't want to search their surroundings, okay, they're not searching their surroundings. And there are going to be natural consequences of that. The NPCs that they don't want to talk to might have had useful information that would have helped them. Well, they miss it. They don't get it. They don't search their surroundings. Okay, well, you know, there's stuff that's hidden in your surroundings. There's loot and treasure and magic items. There's other things that are there that you could have found if you had searched it, but you don't. And so as I'm running a game, I prepare my game so that we have NPCs that you could talk to and that there are hidden things. And if I'm running my game for a group and they never talk to the NPCs, they don't care about it, and they never search their surroundings, well, they're gonna miss a whole lot of stuff in that adventure. That's what's gonna happen in the first adventure. And I'm gonna be like, I'm as a dungeon master, I'm gonna think, okay, well, look, I spend a lot of time preparing those NPCs and making hidden stuff, and they just ignored it all. They just blazed through and they just killed everything. Okay, cool. So I have a couple options now. I have a couple different ways I could approach this. First of all, I could talk to them and say, hey guys, you know, all of these NPCs and all these different people in here, if you talk to them, sometimes they have useful information that you might be able to get them that will make your lives easier and stuff, or whatever. And then if you search your surroundings, you might find stuff that was hidden. For instance, in the last adventure, you guys missed this magic item and this magic item, and you missed a bunch of treasure because you didn't search your surroundings. There was a hidden door. There was a secret door right here that would have helped you bypass this conflict right here and get to the, you know, I might tell them, I might just complete metagame and tell them that in the last adventure, because you didn't talk to the NPCs and you didn't search your surroundings, this is what you missed. All right. I just want you guys to know that I develop my games with a deeper level of complexity than just your typical computer game where you just blaze through and, like, you know, your computer game, the quest givers have text, but you don't read it. You just click through it. You click through it because you're going to go fight stuff. So I design my games with a deeper level of complexity than that. So if you want to engage with NPCs and you want to search your surroundings, you're going to be rewarded for it. You should know that. So that's the first step. I'm going to tell them. And then we're going to play another adventure and we're going to see what happens. Maybe they start talking. Maybe they start searching. Cool. Awesome. And if that continues, there we go. Good. They have now learned, because maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know that talking to NPCs and searching your surroundings can be useful. Maybe they have no idea. So first talk to them and tell them, give them a chance. However, if they continue not talking to the NPCs and not searching their surroundings, then I'm going to say, okay, look, I'm going to talking to myself, right? All right, look, these guys just don't care about that part of the game. They don't care about the NPCs and they don't care about searching their surroundings. All they want to do is blaze through the game and just kill everything. Okay, cool. Now I have to make a decision as a dungeon master. Well, first of all, if I continue to design my adventures the way I designed them and have interesting NPCs you could talk to and have a bunch of hidden things, that's a waste of my time because they're not going to engage with that part of the adventure I designed. So for me to continue doing that's a waste of my time. So no matter what happens, I should stop doing that, at least for this group. But that leads me to the next question. Do I want to run that game? Do I want to run the game that's just pure combat? Maybe I'm okay with that. Maybe I like that myself. Okay, cool. Then that's what they want. They want to run a game that's just pure combat. Sweet. I can do that. I'm just going to stop worrying about the NPCs. I'm going to stop hiding treasure and stuff. And we're just purely going to run fight everything game. That's the game we're going to run, fight everything. If you as a dungeon master are okay with that and that appeals to you and you like that idea, then rock and roll. That's the part of the game that you all have chosen to play above others. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you guys they prefer it and you're okay with it. And so you run that game. Now, if you as a dungeon master, however, don't want to run a game like that, you want more depth to your game. You want there to be talking with NPCs and you want them to engage with the exploration element of the game and searching for stuff and whatnot. Then you might say, this is not the game for me. This group of players is not the group of players for me. They want something different from their game than I want from the game. So At that point, if I can see clearly that they want to play a game that's different from the game I want to run, then I'll go to them and say, hey guys, you know, we talked about this thing before, and it appears like you guys just don't want to engage with that part of the game and you just want to go kill stuff. As a dungeon master, that doesn't work for me. I don't want to run that type of game. And so I'm not going to run that game for you guys. This is probably just not a good fit. I think that you guys would be better served if you found a dungeon master who wants to run that game for you, because they're going to enjoy it more, and you're probably going to have more fun with them because they want to run that game as well. But if I continue to do it for you, it's not going to go well because I'm not going to enjoy it. And if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not putting my heart into it. And you're probably going to see that the game just is suffering and it's not as fun because I'm not enjoying myself. And so the best thing here is for me to just stop running the game for you. You guys, please feel free to find another dungeon master. If one of you wants to run the game and be the dungeon master, that's great. But I'm going to just stop. I'm going to go find another group of players that wants to play the type of game that I want to run. And I think everybody's going to be happier that way. And that's it. Shake hands. And this is not a failing on their part. It's not a failing on your part. This is a difference of preferences. You guys want to play different games, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to stay there and stick it out when you're not having fun and they don't like the parts of the game that you like, that's not beneficial for anybody. And so they're gonna just be cut loose, I suppose, to find a dungeon master that wants to run the game they want to play. And then you're gonna go find players that want to play the game you want to run. And the good news for you is that as a dungeon master, it's usually fairly easy to find players. You usually don't have any problems. I've never had problems finding players when I needed players, when I went out and really started asking. So you'll probably find some players and more likely find ones that want to play that sort of game. And then your former players, well, you know, they might find a dungeon master that'll run that game for them. They might not. But that's not your responsibility, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. Like, this is a game. Like, this is not like you're not a slave to running that game for them, because those poor players, they're never gonna find anybody who will run that game for them. The poor guys. No. You're not obligated to run the game. You're not obligated to suffer for their benefit, right? This is a game. This is a hobby. This is a pastime. If you're not enjoying it and you don't want to do it, you don't have to. They're welcome to go find somebody like that can go run that game for them. And if they don't, they don't, you know, because maybe they can't find a dungeon master because there aren't a whole lot of dungeon masters. But anyway, I think those are your options before you know, and leaving the group is probably your last option, right? Talking with them and seeing it, you know, is probably the first thing to do. But there you go. If you became Catman, what would your powers be? Catman? I would be able to climb. I would definitely have a climb speed. I think a climb speed would be a good start. I'd probably want to be some sort of ninja type thing too. Climb speed with ninja type powers would be really cool. Yeah, that's all I got. Good question though. How do you make a compelling bad guy that really makes the players hate them? You gotta poke at the things your players don't like. Or at least the things their characters don't like. It depends on your players, whether your players role play or whether they're just playing a game. If they're really into role playing, then you poke at the things their characters don't like. You might have to poke at things the players don't like, I guess. I don't know. What have I done to make my bad guys, to make players hate my bad guys? Usually I just have the bad guys be bad. Like, they're just bad people. They're killing children. They're just being despicable, horrible people. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I have a super satisfactory answer for you. It's not something I've really had to think about I just kind of make bad guys, and my players, sometimes they hate them, sometimes they don't. I don't know. I never really thought about that a whole lot. Sorry, that's all I got. How do you manage sessions scheduling around the holidays? Any tips to avoid the scheduling spiral of death? Yeah, you pick your dates and that's good. Like, I don't care about the holidays, guys. Like, I'm gonna run my D&D games. Like, if you can't make it, you can't make it. Whatever. We're gonna play. If we have enough people, we're gonna play, and these are the dates we're playing. And if people don't show up, and if only 2 people show up, well, let's play Catan. Let's play Sheriff of Nottingham. Let's play another game when these people aren't here. Or maybe we play, if we have 3 players, we're playing D&D, and the other 2 people are just, sorry, you're missing out. I just don't care about the holidays. Like, I do, but I don't. Like, I'm still running my D&D game. I once took a break over the holidays. We had a 2-month break over the holidays, and I had like 2 players leave the game. Because we took a break over the holidays, they were like, well, I'm just gonna leave. And I'm just like, what? Okay. So yeah, I don't know. I don't take breaks over the holidays. I just keep playing D&D. And if people can't make it, they can't make it. Like, I don't know. We're gonna have the only exception is if the D&D day falls on Christmas. If it falls on Christmas, then we're probably gonna skip that session. I mean, you know, but I'm not gonna reschedule it and stuff. We're just gonna, if we have to skip it, we skip it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't do anything special. We just keep playing D&D. I'm running my first module, Curse of Strahd, but I normally don't do modules and do my own homebrew, but I love the campaign I was in. Do you have any suggestions for Curse of Strahd as a first module or in general? I think I already told you to beef Strahd up. Gosh. So people say it's a sandbox, and remember that you can control the sandbox by the plot hooks you give your players. So just don't give them plot hooks until you're ready for them to go do that thing. Ask your players to tell you in advance what they're planning on doing so you can prepare that thing. I found it helpful to read the entire module. Not before the game started. I was only about halfway through the module by the time the game started, but then I finished it up over the next couple of weeks. In that particular case, I did find it helpful to read the whole thing. I don't always recommend that because sometimes modules are really big, but Curse of Strahd's not a very big module. I found it helpful. I wouldn't say you have to do that, but it you know, the thing is you can start running Curse of Strahd, and then as you're running it, just keep reading it, you know, and then eventually Curse of Strahd is going to take you like 2 years to run probably. So if you just start running it and then start reading the module and just keep at it, you're going to finish the module book in like a month, you know, and then you're going to run it for the next 2 years. And so it's not that big of a deal. Another tip for Curse of Strahd. Curse of Strahd was made like, what, 4 years ago? And many new powerful character options have been released. So be aware that you need to beef stuff up in Curse of Strahd. Curse of Strahd is gonna be a really easy module if you don't beef it up. Because your players, if they roll in with new character options, they're gonna demolish the stuff in Curse of Strahd. And it's gonna be a cakewalk. So you gotta beef stuff up. It has not aged well. I mean, when their principal way to sell books is to print more and more powerful character options, and that's the way they encourage people to buy books, is by making things more powerful, you gotta know that older modules are gonna fall behind the power curve and become too easy, and you gotta beef them up. So now I enjoy doing that. I enjoy beefing them up. It's fun to do that, so I don't mind it a whole lot. It's annoying to me because not everybody feels comfortable doing that nor wants to do that. So it is annoying to me, but be aware that you will need to do that, because and be aware too that, you know, you're probably going to have players I should say, who, when they know you're running Curse of Strahd, they are going to intentionally make decisions building their character so that their character is ready for Curse of Strahd. For instance, if they can do radiant damage on every attack, that's a good option to have. Bring a cleric along to turn undead. There you go. Make sure you have that. Check that box. Anything else? Well, you're gonna get, make sure you have a paladin. I mean, I don't know. There are certain decisions that they might make that are definitely metagame decisions. That they make when they know what module they're running. And so I'm not necessarily saying that you forbid them from doing certain things. What I'm saying is that when they use metagame knowledge to prepare for a specific module, because even if they've never read the module, there are certain things about Curse of Strahd. Like you're gonna go against undead. You're gonna fight vampires. And it doesn't take a genius to go look up a vampire stat block on DnD Beyond and be like, oh, they regenerate unless they take fire damage or radiant damage. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that I can either do fire damage or radiant. You know what I mean? And so my point is that you're probably gonna have players that use this metagame knowledge when they're creating their characters. Not all players will, but you're probably gonna have at least a couple that do. And so this even further means that you're going to have to beef up the module, because not only are they going to have access to more powerful character options, but some of them are for sure going to use a little bit of metagamey stuff to make even more powerful characters as well. So just be aware of that when you're walking into it. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, it is what it is. Do the best you can to accommodate and adjust for it. But don't get too worked up over it. Like, what are you going to do? So far, 1 DnD is increasing player power. Well, of course it is. They want to sell the books. You guys, they want to sell the books. If they release, first of all, 1 DnD is going to have 3 new core rule books. They're redoing the player handbook. They're redoing the monster manual. They're redoing the dungeon master guide. That's my understanding. You're going to get 3 new core books. And if they want people to buy the books, they need to either make 1 DnD better than 5th edition, or they need to make the character options and stuff more powerful. Because if it's more powerful, people will buy them. They know this. This is a tried and true technique for selling books. Make the character options more powerful and people will buy them, or make them better and people will buy them. So, but you're definitely going to have an increased power level. That's 100%. You're going to see that for sure. So the question is, do you think Wizards of the Coast will introduce new Dungeon Master rules, monsters, or CR table to counterbalance the changes? So I definitely think you're going to see a new monster manual and a new Dungeon Master guide, because they want you to buy those books. They're probably going to release 1 DnD, 3 core rulebooks. This is my guess. Maybe they've talked about it. I don't know. You're almost surely going to see 3 new core rulebooks, 1 DnD, all 3 of them. So yes, they're going to have a new monster manual. They're going to have a new Dungeon Master guide, and I don't even know if they've talked about it. But you're definitely going to see that. Now, as far as the challenge rating table, are they going to adjust that stuff? I mean, there's part of me that says, why wouldn't they? If you're increasing the power, if you're making a new edition, why wouldn't you also revisit the challenge rating table? Like, it makes sense. Why wouldn't you do that? Then there's another part of me that's like, yeah, but if they redo the challenge rating system, that really affects all of the modules in 5th edition. And they've said that it's supposed to be backwards compatible. So, which it won't be, by the way. So redoing the challenge rating system and all the monsters and stuff, that really clashes hard with the backwards compatible promise that they knew they were going to break before they made the promise. So if they do that, so then there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe they don't update the challenge rating stuff. What would that mean? Well, that would mean that everything is a lot easier. Is that a problem? Maybe that's not a problem. maybe because the game is trending toward an easier and easier game, right? Where it's harder and harder to die and the characters are more and more powerful. That's been the trend of the game for a long time now. And 5th edition just continued that trend on. I imagine 1 DnD will continue that trend on. So if they don't adjust the challenge rating tables, then that just means things probably get easier, right? Which has been the trend all along. And so maybe they don't adjust them a whole lot. Maybe they leave them mostly the same, because then they can still claim backwards compatibility and the game gets a little bit easier. So maybe they don't touch those. Maybe they leave those the same. I don't know. I could see it going either way. Neither one will surprise me a whole lot of how they decide to do their new edition. Do you have any tips for co-DMing? Don't do it. A friend and I are going to give it a shot and would appreciate any tips you have, if any. Yeah, why? I don't know. The co-DMing thing has never made any sense to me. It has never made. I've seen people trying to do it before, and it never made any sense to me. I never got it. It didn't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the point was. Maybe I don't understand it enough, but I never saw. I never. Yeah, I don't have enough understanding of it to talk about it cohesively or coherently. It just never made any sense to me. I'm like, it doesn't take more than one person to be a dungeon master, you know. Like, man, if I have to collaborate with another person on creating all the stuff in the game, that's gonna take me even more time. Like, instead of me designing the adventure, if 2 of us have to design the adventure together, like, isn't that gonna take me more time to have to collaborate on everything in the adventure? Unless I'm gonna run one adventure and then they run the next adventure. Well, then you're not really a co-DM. You're just, that person's a DM one for one adventure, then you're a DM for the next adventure, and you're just running it in the same game world or something. So I don't know what the division of responsibilities is. You know, are they running all of the monsters in combat and you're doing everything else? Well, then the person running the monsters in combat's not really a dungeon master. They're really just running monsters in combat. Like that is like a sliver of the responsibilities of a dungeon master, is to run monsters in combat. And that's probably the easiest part and the most fun part, maybe. I don't know. That's probably, yeah, it's definitely one of the most fun parts, for me at least, and it's probably the easiest part too. So I don't know. It depends on what your division of responsibilities is and how you go about doing it. But it never appealed to me, and I never quite understood it. And it was interesting because there was an actual play that I was looking at a little bit ago that had 2 dungeon masters, and I sent it over to one of the people on my team to take a look at the actual play. And I don't know, I don't think he's here tonight, but he didn't really understand it, and he said that it felt awkward at times to have 2 dungeon masters or something. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it didn't seem to work very well for him either, from his point of view in watching it. So I don't know. I don't really have anything to tell you. I'm sorry. I should have just skipped your question. Sorry. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Controversial question here. Oh, baby. I love controversy. When players don't have a clear direction of what to do or where to go, how much time should I wait before helping them? Should I ask if they want help? I don't think that's controversial. It's probably a good question too. So they don't have a clear direction of what to do or where to go. That right there, there's a difference between not being able to decide and just not knowing what you're supposed to do. There's a big difference. If my players can't decide, then I'm gonna be like, come on guys, what are you gonna do? Come on guys, want to roll dice for it? If you can't make up your mind, let's just roll dice and figure it out. you know, pick something so we can, after I give them a reasonable amount of time to make a decision. But when you have players who just don't know what to do and they're not clear on where they're supposed to go, that's a different problem altogether. That is a problem that I would view either of I did something wrong because I, as the dungeon master, didn't provide clear direction. Like, I did not enumerate the possibilities. So like if there was a clue, right, the clue wasn't good enough. It didn't help explain to them what the next step is, where they're supposed to go. So maybe I failed as a dungeon master, and then yeah, I should probably step in and help them somehow. Or maybe the information was there, but they didn't catch it. They didn't pick up on it. Well, then I might remind them, hey guys, you know, you're trying to figure out where to go next. Remember that one NPC back there? They told you about da-da-da-da-da. And the players are like, oh, that's right. Ooh, maybe we should go, right? So if they just don't have any idea what to do next, I think stepping in is totally valid and just reminding them of things they may have missed or making up for your own failing. So I don't think if they're, yeah, stepping in is perfectly fine. I would have no problem doing that. If it's, yeah. How do I run horror without extensive and linear investigation? I really want to scare my players, but investigation is quite boring to me. I mean, I run horror stuff all the time and there's never investigation involved. I don't give a flying crap about investigation. Horror doesn't have anything to do with investigation, in my personal opinion. Horror is about having horrific themes and stuff with suspense and mystery. You see, suspense and mystery, I think, is part of the key to horror, not necessarily investigation. So now, of course, when you have suspense and mystery, the players are probably going to be, you know, starting to investigate things. So I'm running a one-shot right now for people that I would say is a horror one-shot, because I lean heavily on suspense and mystery for like the first half of the one-shot, and the players are investigating things because I'm building up the suspense and mystery of what's going on. So it almost seems like, now I'm thinking this through now. I think I'm going to change my initial reaction to this. It seems like to me that if I'm running horror, at least the way that I understand horror, then that means that I'm going to have suspense and mystery and drama. Suspense and mystery hard. And then when there's suspense and mystery, it's almost intuitive that the players are going to start investigating what's going on because there's the suspense and mystery. And there are horrific elements and stuff, but those seem to me to be almost integral to the horror theme itself. Like the horror genre almost needs those things. So my question is like, if you want to run horror, what are you going for? Like, what is your goal? This is kind of like, you know, I want to go swimming, but I don't want to get wet. I don't know that that works. Yeah, I think I'm at an impasse here. What is your opinion on multi-class? For example, fighter, swashbuckler. I mean, I let my players multi-class. I don't have a problem with it. I myself don't usually multi-class though, unless I have a roleplay reason to do so, or I'm playing something like the Warlock. You guys, do you know how stupid the Warlock is as a class? Like, the Warlock was just designed so badly. Like, after 4th level, I don't know why you would continue to level up as Warlock. Let's go look at how stupid the Warlock was designed. I'm playing a Warlock right now, and I usually don't multi-class. Usually I stick to one class, and I do it the whole time. But the Warlock was designed so poorly in 5th edition that I was thinking, like, how can I possibly continue playing this? All right, let's find the Warlock. It's such a bad class. There's a reason people only ever take like 2 or 3 levels of Warlock. It's just so bad. So I was looking at my Warlock and I was like, okay, we're gonna make a Warlock. That's great. If I become a level 20 Warlock, I'm gonna know 4 cantrips. I know a bunch of spells, but I only have 4 spell slots. 4 spell slots. Oh my gosh, at level 20. And I'm like, wow, that really sucks. And I'm gonna, now yes, every spell is cast at what, 5th level? And I get a bunch of invocations and stuff. But I was like, man, that seems really bland. Like, if I take a 4th level, if I take like, you know, a 4th level Warlock, I got 2 spell slots. At 20th level, I got 4 spell slots. I'm like, what am I doing here? I have 5 cantrips at 4th level. I'm sorry. I have 3 cantrips versus 4 cantrips. Spells known, 5 spells known versus 15. I'm like, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, why? I don't understand why I would go past 4th level. And then one of the people in the game was like, Luke, go to 5th level. At 5th level, all of your spell slots are 3rd level and you get an additional invocation. And I'm like, okay, that's smart. Go to 5th level. Okay. But after that, it's like, why am I going to continue leveling up as a Warlock? It doesn't make any sense. And so I'm probably going to go to Sorcerer. I'm going to multi-class into Sorcerer because Warlock is just such a poorly designed class. It just sucks. So I don't see the reason for doing more than 5 levels of Warlock. This is why everybody splashes Warlock, because you get so much good stuff at the levels, but there's really no reason to go any higher. Like, unless you purely are doing it because you just want to roleplay a Warlock all the way up. But it's really bad. It's a crappy class. So I don't know. Maybe I don't get it. I'm sure there's somebody out there who loves Warlock and can set me right. But it just seemed really bad. And so I'm gonna go 5 Warlock and then go to Sorcerer because Warlock sucks. Okay, let's see. My cats are all bugging me. I think they want their snack. I haven't taken a break to do their snack. I'm out of tea. What is this? Oh, hold on a second. Let's go to the room cam. Oh, that's little guy. Look at little guy. Little guy is waiting patiently for his snack. I want to put one of my PCs in jail. How can I make this entertaining and not just a death sentence or silly? I don't know. I'm not gonna solve that problem. Sorry. Check out one of the questions I answered before in the live stream. Like I don't want to solve your specific thing like that. Like this is one of those creativity questions. Like I don't want to shortcut your work as a dungeon master in coming up with creative ways to run your game. That's like a problem that you should solve. I'm sorry. I know I'm a heartless jerk, but I'm not doing that. How do you personally deal with scheduling sessions? So we have a reoccurring day that we play, and we play that day, period, end of story. That's it. We will say, guys, we play every other Saturday at 4 p.m. That's the game schedule. And then we play it. If you can't make it, you can't make it. You don't play. So if I'm getting together, let's pretend I get together a group of friends. Let's say there are 6 of us. When we're gonna decide on our game schedule, we're gonna say, okay, guys, let's find a time that works for all of us, and then we're just gonna play every 2 weeks, or every week maybe. But I think 2 weeks is better. Playing once a month is not enough. Doesn't work. Playing every week is really hard to fit into your schedule a lot of times. People with real lives have a hard time doing weekly games. But every other week tends to be doable for most people. So we're going to play every other week, every 2 weeks. And we're always going to play on the same day at the same time. And you find a time that works for your group. And you find that cadence. And then you stick to it. And when people can't come, okay, that's cool. We're still playing DnD. You're going to miss out. Sorry, that's life. We don't stop. And then you just play your game. Now, that's how you do it. That's the best way to do it. I have some videos about it too. They're really old videos, but I do have a couple. The next thing, they're like some of the earliest videos I did. Literally, these are like some of the first videos I did like 4 years ago or whatever, were about scheduling games. Because scheduling is the #1 thing that causes groups to fall apart. It's the #1 thing. I've done polls, other people have done polls. It is the #1 thing that causes groups to fall apart, scheduling. And the way that I just described to you to do scheduling, I have had amazing success over the last 4 years, 5 years of keeping groups together and keeping on playing. You just have a reoccurring schedule and you always play. You never reschedule, you just play. You might cancel a session for reasons. If only one person can make the game, we're gonna cancel. You know, what are you gonna do? But you never reschedule, you never go into that. You always play, you always play, you always play. And I found that to work amazingly well. Now, if you as the dungeon master don't have players yet, and you're going to go look for players, then I would set the schedule yourself right now. You don't even have players yet. So there is no reason to get players first and then try to figure out a schedule, because what's going to happen is it's going to be really hard, because you try to align 6 people's schedules for a game. Good luck. It's not easy. So what I do, generally speaking, is I make the schedule based upon when I can play and when I can run the game. And then I find players who can come play at that same time. That is hands down the easiest way to make it work. Now, does that mean that some of your friends might not be able to play? Yep, it sure does. But guess what? It's way better to play a game, a regular game with players, than to play no game, because you can't find a day that works for everyone. So yeah, maybe some of your friends won't be able to play, but at least some people will be able to play. So if you don't have any players yet, you pick the day, you pick the occurrence, and then find players who can play on that day, and then you stick to it. And if you've already got players, then you got to try to figure out a day that works for you, and it's going to be hard. And you know what? It might happen that you find a day that works for 5 of you, but 1 person it doesn't. And there's just, listen, some people's schedules are crazy. Sometimes people are so busy or have such weird schedules that you're not going to be able to get it to work for them. You're just not. And so at that point, you have a decision to make. You can either scrap the whole idea, throw it out, and not play DnD because 1 person's schedule wouldn't fit. Or you can put your big boy pants on, big girl pants on, and you can say, hey, you know what? This really sucks. I'm really sorry, Jim, but we've all found a day that works for all of us. There's literally no day that you can play that works for us. I really hate having to do this, but we're going to play DnD on this day. If you can make it, great. If you can't, I'm sorry, but we're going to play DnD, and I feel really bad about it because you're a friend, but it's either we play DnD or nobody plays DnD. And I'm not trying to exclude you, but your schedule just is not reconcilable and it's not going to work. And so I'm sorry. And then you make that decision, and Jim's a little disappointed, but it's either disappoint 1 person or disappoint everybody, and nobody gets to play. And so sometimes that sucks, but sometimes you got to make decisions like that. What was your dream job as a kid? Well, for a while I wanted to be a lawyer. That didn't last very long. And then I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a writer for the longest time. Probably since 8th grade, I wanted to be a writer. And I was writing stuff. I've written manuscripts and stuff. A fantasy writer, like a, DnD-ish type fantasy writer. I have a couple manuscripts I wrote. And then I wrote one before college. I wrote one in college. And then as I learned more about what it means to be a writer and try to publish books, it dawned on me, this is a lot of work. This is really, really hard. You can write manuscripts and never get published. And there's this, the way that traditional publishing works is crazy too, because you have to, in fantasy novels especially, you have to write your book first, and then you have to usually find an agent. So you have to write query letters trying to find an agent who will represent you before a publishing house. And then maybe you find an agent who represents you, because and then they take you to a publishing house. Maybe you get a deal. Maybe you get a deal with some publisher, right? And then you're usually going to get some sort of advance against your commissions. And so let's pretend you get a $5,000 advance against your commissions. And let's pretend your commissions are 10%. I don't know what normal commissions are. I'm just making it up. Let's pretend you get a $5,000 advance, and then commissions are 10%. And then they publish your book, and your book goes out to bookstores, right? If they never sell enough books for your commission to go past 5,000, you never see another dime. That's all you get is 5,000. And I'm like, and maybe the process is different these days, but back when I was looking at it, this is the way it worked. And I was like, man, I spend tons of time writing this book. I got to spend all this time trying to get an agent. And then we're going to try to get published. And then once I do get published, by the way, the number of people who actually sell enough books to like go past their advance are like almost none. Like most people never see more than their advance. They never make enough commissions and stuff. And they especially don't make enough to do it full time. Like there's one guy I'm kind of familiar with, who I used to follow years ago, but then he got political and I stopped following him because I didn't want politics. I wanted you to talk about writing, not politics. So I stopped following him. And he at the time he had like 30 books that were published and out there. And at that point, he was finally making enough money to write full time. And so I'm like, wow, dude. So you got to go through all of that and have that. Holy, that's really, really hard. There's no money in that. Like, I got to pay bills. I have a family. I mean, it's like, I need to make money, dude. And so I'm like, there's no money in that. That's not going to work. And if you self-publish, that's even worse. Self-publishing usually doesn't go anywhere unless you are a known entity. Like if you have a big YouTube channel, self-publishing will probably work for you, or if you're a political figure or something, not that you would have to self-publish if you're a political figure, but so self-publishing usually the route, this is my understanding, usually if you self-publish, it's because you couldn't get an agent and you couldn't get a publishing house to publish you. And so you pay someone else to publish your work, and then it's probably not going to sell anything. So you literally just paid money to get it published, but then it's not going to sell at all anyway. Like, agents and publishing houses, a lot of times they only publish certain people because they have an idea of what will sell and what won't sell. And so, not always. Sometimes they're very wrong. And there are famous examples of people who were turned down many, many times, finally got published, and then their books went off and became bestsellers. So there are examples of that, right? It does happen. But anyway, when I learned that writing was so very, very difficult and the chances of actual success, making actual money doing it, were so low, I was like, wow. So you really only are going to do it if you're super passionate about it. Okay, cool. I did not feel passionate enough about it. Did not feel passionate enough about the writing thing, fantasy books, to continue that full time. So I didn't do it. I went off and, I got a degree in like creative writing and literature, which was, I guess, useful eventually, but most of the time in my life, I never used it. It works now. It's helped me out now for what I do. But anyway, I don't know. I'm going on a big tangent and talking about a lot of stuff. But my dream job was being a writer, and I guess you can kind of say that that's what. Well, I don't actually write anymore. I did for a while. I wrote Into the Fae. I think I wrote the whole thing. Yeah, I wrote the entire book Into the Fae. That's our module. That was our first Kickstarter, our module Into the Fae. And then there were some pieces of Lair magazine I wrote at the very beginning, but it became very clear to me that I didn't have time to do everything. And then we started hiring people to write Lair magazine for us. And so now I don't even write Lair magazine stuff. We have freelancers that do that. And then so I did write for a little bit, but now I just manage writers. Because I learned that there was no money in writing. And I needed to make money because I have, a job and cats and stuff, or I have a family and cats and stuff. So anyway, but that was my dream job. And then reality sank in and I figured out a better way, I suppose, or a different way. Maybe, whatever. Anyway, there you go. There's the answer. Oh yeah. Oh, it looks like they stopped though. They stopped fighting. We should give them some snack though. How's that sound? Oh yes, I have totally been forgetting to do all of my plugs. We have a giveaway going on tonight. You can win some cool stuff. There's a link in the chat, hopefully, where you can enter the giveaway. It's totally free. Just go do it. You get free crap. I mean, why not? What else are we doing? Oh yes, we're raising money for Canines for Warriors. They are a charity. Where's their thing? Let me go over there. They are a charity that helps out veterans. They provide service dogs for veterans who are suffering from PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and other things that are going on. So this is like their website. Yeah. So it's legit. It's legit. If you guys want to donate to Canines for Warriors, you can tip. There's a link in the chat where you can do that. Yeah. And oh, by the way, if you are a patron, Lair magazine dropped today. So you can go get that right now if you're a DM Lair patron. We also released our Vecna equivalent today. We have an adventure out there called The Lich Who Would Become a God, which includes a stat block and an adventure based on Vecna, which we didn't actually call it Vecna because we can't. But it's kind of the same idea. It's an actual Lich, a CR30 Lich, and a level 20 adventure. It's very, very cool. It's actually challenging. It's not a cakewalk like the official one that was released. So that came out today too. That's exclusively for patrons. If you're not a patron, you can get it in January. Our stuff is like exclusive to patrons for the first 2 months because they're our patrons and they deserve it. So anyway, that dropped today if you're not aware. Very, very cool. Okay, let's give our cats some cat treats, shall we? Some of them are gathering. Who do we have over there? We got Mommy's head and then little guy are waiting patiently. So we're gonna give them some treats. What's up, Squeaky? What's going on down there? What? There we go. All right, I will be back. What was your first edition of D&D you started playing? Second edition. I've been a DM for over 40 years. I started with AD&D and so on from there. Cool. Yeah, I did second edition as my first one. I'm running my first game as a dungeon master on Sunday. I'm nervous. I wanted to get my players hooked immediately. Any advice? Stop worrying. It's not that important. Stop worrying. It's not that big of a deal, dude. We worry too much about the first game session. We worry too much about how to introduce the adventure. We worry too much about how to kick the campaign off. We worry way too much about that. It is one game session out of however many you're going to have. It's not worth worrying about. It's not that big of a deal. Just show up and run a D&D game. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. Don't worry about it. You see, it's self-defeating. The more you worry about running an amazing game that's going to hook them, the higher the probability of you not running a good game because you're worrying about it and because you're nervous. It is a self-defeating spiral of doom. The very best thing you can do is stop worrying and just be like, meh, I'm gonna run a good game, I'm gonna do what I can, I'm gonna make it as fun as I can, and if they don't like it, they don't like it, and I don't care. The best attitude you could almost have is like, I don't care. Just, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and if they don't like it, they don't like it. Because then you're gonna calm down a little bit. Then you're gonna be more relaxed, and then you're gonna be able to run a better game. It's hard to run a game when you're like, ah! In your head the whole time. Hard to run a game when you're doing that. You gotta relax. You gotta stop caring quite so much. You just gotta, whatever. I don't care. Dude, it's like job interviews. Some of the very best job interviews I've had are the ones where I'm just like, man, I'm just gonna relax and just chill and, and just, they don't hire me, they don't hire me. And guess what? Every time I got hired, when you're all nervous and you're just like, dude, no, it doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. Just relax. So the very best thing you can do is relax and stop caring. Still prepare, still try to run a good game, but man, you can't let that get in your head because that will self-defeat you. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Would you change the difficulties that could take a combat? Huh? I don't know, like deathly actually coulding make a TPK or something. I can't answer that question. It's incomprehensible. I'm sorry. I know I'm a bad person. I know I am. I just can't answer that. Any tips of you can give about a cult ran revolution? I'm running a campaign that has a very powerful cult that is about to stage a revolutionary movement in a big city. I don't know what you want. I'm not sure what you're asking for. Like, you have a very, very specific scenario in mind and you want a tip for it. And I don't know that I have anything that comes to mind for that very, very specific scenario. Nothing that's off the top of my head. That would require some deep creative thinking to figure out what to do there. And a live stream's not a good venue for that. I'm sorry. I'm not good at answering questions. The last two I swung and struck out. Let's pick a question I can answer better. I gotta pick a really good one so I can have a good answer. And so you guys are all like, well, Luke isn't a complete failure. Melchior, what's up, dude? How you doing? Wanderer and Paladin, hello. Look at Wanderer and see now that I can't answer the questions, I'm like striking out. I'm gonna go to the chat and we're gonna talk in chat for a little bit until I get my confidence back. I'm like wilting inside. I'm just like I can't hack it. Uh, Wandering Paladin says, thank you for your channel. I just started running Frostmaiden and I've already reworked some things. Cool. Awesome. I'm running Frostmaiden as well. What is that called? It's the Icewind Dale module. I'm running that too. I'm liking it so far. I am liking it a lot so far. I'm running it for my youngling group. They're all, I think they're juniors in high school right now. And they're pretty cool kids. And I am enjoying the module so far. I'm very happy I chose that module. It's a lot of fun so far. They've TPK'd once, and one of them's their character has died a couple times. We're all having fun though. I can answer this one. Is Gino a good villain name? Yes. There we go. Got that. I got that one. Hi Luke, what tips do you have for giving bosses legendary actions or resistances for campaigns that run levels 1 to 6? Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is in a future issue of Lair magazine, I'm not sure exactly which one, but one of them that's coming up, we are literally going to have an article in it. Ed, our lead developer, wrote it, and it is about making boss monsters. We're gonna tell you how to take any normal creature and turn it into a boss monster that has not just legendary actions and legendary resistances and stuff, but we're going to go through the whole thing, the entire thought process of how you take a goblin, for instance, and turn it into a boss monster for low levels. And any monster, right? We're going to show you how to turn any monster into a legendary creature. And that's going to come out in a couple months or so for Lair magazine. So patrons, DLR patrons have that to look forward to. That will be coming soon. That'll help you through that sort of process for your games. I'm really excited about that because that's going to be very, very useful for people when they're making boss monsters. But your actual question was, what tips do you have for giving bosses legendary actions or resistances for campaigns that run levels 1 to 6? I mean, it doesn't matter if your boss monster is a low level, they can still have a legendary resistance, because something like Hold Person can end that boss fight right away and make it anticlimactic. And so you need to have a legendary resistance. And legendary actions, the entire purpose of legendary actions is to help your boss keep up with action economy with the players. And so either you give your boss minions so that action economy remains level, or you give them legendary actions. Now at low levels, it's probably easier to give them minions as opposed to legendary actions, because at low levels their hit points are so few, they're going to be dead like that at low levels, and so their legendary actions might not even come into play a whole lot. So my gut is telling me at lower levels you're probably better off giving them more minions, bad guys to help them, than worrying too much about legendary actions. But you can still do it. Now, it does affect the challenge rating, and by the way, in the article that we have coming out in Lair magazine, we are going to address how to adjust the challenge rating of monsters as well when you're making a boss monster, a legendary creature. So I think you can do those things, and they're perfectly fine, because you have to do something at low levels for your boss monsters, otherwise they're just going to die really fast and be anticlimactic. And some people will complain and say, well, if the paladin smites and deals 80 points of damage and that kills the boss monster, well then that's fine, and that's the way it should run, And then the other person will say, yeah, but that was anticlimactic, and the entire group was like, oh, that's it, he's dead already? And it was a letdown for them. And it's like, well, which way do you go? Do you beef the boss up so that the smite doesn't kill him in one shot? Or do you let the smite kill him in one shot because that's what would have happened? And then everybody is disappointed because the boss died so fast. And so this is one of our, forever questions of, do you beef the bosses up? Or do you just let them die really fast because that's what would have happened? I beef bosses up so that they can actually survive and be a challenge for players, because I think that is more enjoyable. It's more enjoyable for me, and listen, the game is more fun when, gosh, let's rephrase that. Victory is more enjoyable when it is hard won. When you win easily and it's no challenge, the win doesn't feel as exciting. The win isn't as valuable. The win doesn't mean as much to you because you didn't have to work for it. It just was handed to you. But when you have to fight hard and you think you're gonna lose and then you just barely manage to beat the boss, those are the victories that the whole table cheers about. Those are the victories that you remember and that you're like, wow, that was amazing. I thought we were dead, but we managed to win. You see, this is why I think that personally, the direction the game is going toward making it easier and easier and easier doesn't result in more fun. Instead, when you have a challenging game where players have to earn their victories, I think that's more fun. I think those victories are more meaningful. So that was probably a tangent, not quite answering your question, but there you go, you got it. How do you handle if a session ends mid-dungeon and in the next session, one of the players is unavailable and it feels unlogical for that PC to not be there all of a sudden? Dude, this is a game. That's life. That's the way it works. They're not there. Well, then you hand wave it, dude. You know, you have to balance the fact that we are running a game with the fact that there's also a narrative ongoing as the game is being run. These two things are happening. We're running a game and there's a narrative. There's a story that's unfolding as we play this game. And so the two go hand in hand, and sometimes one of them conflicts with the other. A player being missing conflicts with the narrative because they're missing. But the game needs the game to go on so people can keep playing the game. And so, well, how do we satisfy the narrative? Well, you could. I mean, there are different ways to deal with player absences, okay? You could have somebody else play their character. This is my preferred method. If one of my players is gone, my preference is to have another player play their character. Problem solved. In one of my groups, we do this. One of my other groups doesn't like that, and so we don't. For that group, when a player is not there, their character is gone. Their character disappears, and we have a magical hand wave. Darkness begins to gather around the ceiling, and there's a rush of air that goes through the room, and you can see ooze dripping out of the darkness, and then a tentacle writhes out, comes down, wraps around the leg of Ed, and drags him, kicking and screaming, up toward the ceiling. The darkness wraps around him, envelops him, and Ed is gone. It's just the four of you now. What do? We hand wave it. We completely hand wave it. Their character is gone. Because the player's not there, the rest of them continue adventuring. In one of my other groups, Zach has a different mechanic. If somebody's player is not there, their character shrivels down into a small little black bead. And then another character will take the black bead with them, and then their character is gone. It's a different sort of hand wave. Pick the hand wave of your choice, it doesn't matter. But the game must go on. And is it illogical for their character to be gone? Yeah, maybe, but that's life. Because we're playing a game at the same time. You know, and if your narrative and your story is so fragile that it can't handle a hand wave and somebody not being there, well then, I don't know, maybe you just don't play. And you just, nobody gets to play DnD. For the sake of your story, for the sake of your narrative, no one gets to play DnD because your story is that important. Everybody sits out DnD and I don't know, they go watch Netflix or something instead because the story is so important and so fragile that it can't possibly handle a character not being there. Maybe that's what you got to do. Or you can just hand wave it and everybody gets to play DnD and everybody's happy. And it's not that big of a deal because it's a game. We're not this story. It's anyway, those are your options. Oh my goodness. What is your favorite Star Wars movie? I mean, the original trilogy was amazing. Everybody always says they like Empire Strikes Back the most, but I kind of liked Return of the Jedi. I liked Return of the Jedi because I liked the Jabba Hutt scene. I liked that whole scene on Tatooine. I enjoyed the battle with Darth Vader and stuff, and the whole thing with the Ewoks was kind of like, but not that bad. So I kind of liked Return of the Jedi. I thought that one was pretty cool. You know, I also liked, so you had the original trilogy, and then you had the next trilogy, which had, you know, Anakin as a young boy, the Clone Wars, and then the final one was Anakin when he turned to the evil side, the dark side. I don't remember the name of that movie right there, but I did like that movie. I really enjoyed seeing Anakin shift to the dark side. Now, the actor who portrayed Anakin, what was his name? I think it was like Christian something. I don't think he was the world's greatest actor, but I really did enjoy seeing the story unfold of Anakin turning to the dark side. I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. Hayden Christensen, yeah, I don't think he was a strong actor. I didn't believe him. Like, he didn't seem, I don't know. I don't think they picked the world's strongest actor for that role, but I did enjoy seeing him turn to the dark side. I thought that was very interesting. I liked that. Revenge of the Sith, is that what it is? Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that movie too. Rogue One, yes. Okay, let's put a pin in that. Gaming Room says, I just like to say a big thank you. During lockdown, I was asked to be a DM, and I binge watched all your content and still do, and I'm still running my second campaign. That's awesome. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate your dropping in and saying that. That's awesome. And you know, it's interesting. As a YouTuber, one of the things that we struggle with is getting views, getting people to watch your videos, you know, because if people don't like, views is like important, and if people aren't watching your videos, then your channel suffers, you know. And in my position, I do this full time, and so if people aren't watching my videos and my views suffer, I see almost all elements of my business decline, right? And when you do this full time, and when you have people that work for you that you have to pay, it's like you have a responsibility to make sure that you have revenue. Otherwise, bad things happen. And so there's this pressure to make videos that get lots of views. And that's something that all YouTubers feel, that pressure. But when you do it full time, it's even more pressure, right? And when you have employees you got to pay, it's even more pressure. And so I have this thing in my head where it's like, I need to get views. And so this one DnD thing, people who were making videos on one DnD tended to get lots of views. And there were some, like Bob World Builder, he's a buddy of mine. He and I talk about stuff a lot, along with Dungeon Coach. And he was doing videos and getting tons of views. And I was like, man, this guy's killing it with these videos. Like, I should do some one DnD videos because I'll get views, right? Because people click on this crap. And so I did a few one DnD videos, and the thing is, though, what I felt is, man, I'm making these videos, and yeah, they're getting decent views and stuff, but I'm not helping anybody. I'm really just making videos to get views, but I'm not helping anybody. And like the motivation I had, you know, what I wanted to do and what I want to do is I want to help people as dungeon masters. I want to help them become better dungeon masters if I can. I want to give them resources to help them be a dungeon master, because being a dungeon master isn't always easy, right? It can be challenging. You might not know where to start. It can be confusing. You know, Wizards doesn't do anything to help dungeon masters. On the contrary, most of the stuff they do makes it more difficult to be a dungeon master. And I don't want to get into that rabbit hole right at this particular moment, but they're not helping dungeon masters, right? And so it's like, I want to help dungeon masters. I want to, if I can make it easier for them, if I can explain things, if I can give them information that I've learned, I want to help that. So that's my goal, right? That's what I want to do with my channel. It's what we try to do with Lair magazine. It's like our Kickstarters, the things that we do is to help dungeon masters, to help you, right? That's our goal. That's our goal. We have a Kickstarter coming out next year. It's going to be a dungeon master. It's a book for dungeon masters that compiles a lot of the advice that I have, advice from my team, like Ed, our lead developer, Zach, who's our lead writer, and then, well, I think those are the two main contributors to it as well. And then the stuff that I have in my head, you know, we're putting all this information into a book, and it's gonna be called The Secret Art of Game Mastering, the complete guide to running RPGs or role-playing games. And it's gonna we're trying to make it as complete as possible to help explain and walk through all the different facets of being a game master. But the goal of that book, again, is to help game masters. And so what I'm getting at, the point I'm trying to make, is that when I was making all of these DND videos, in my brain, I'm just chasing views. I'm doing nothing more than trying to get people to watch the stupid videos. But I'm not helping anybody. It's worthless trash content. It doesn't help anybody, you know? And so I didn't like it. There was just part of me that was just like, ugh, I don't want to make these stupid videos because they're pointless, you know? And so I stopped doing it. And I told my team, I'm like, we're done with the DND videos. I'm done doing these stupid things. So I'm drawing this back to your comment about how the videos were helpful for you. And see, this is why that means a lot to me, because my goal is to help dungeon masters. And so when I see that my team and I are doing that and we're able to help dungeon masters, that's what we're trying. That means the world to us. So thank you. So that was the whole explanation type thing. I answered the Star Wars question. Yes, we were talking about Star Wars. Rogue One. Ooh! Rogue One was amazing. Like, here's what happened. When I first started watching Rogue One, I didn't understand what is going on here. Like, why? Who cares about all these people and what they're doing? Like, what's the point? And then when it finally clicked on me what was actually happening, and what was, you know, I was like, oh man, ooh, this is really cool. And Rogue One as a movie was executed super well. Han Solo, like, I think it was just called Solo. That one was amazing. So the Rogue One, Solo were spectacular. The stupid movies they did, what were the ones? The latest trilogy or the last trilogy? Even listen. Even what's the name of the actor who played Luke Skywalker? It's Mark Hamill. Even Mark Hamill has gone on record saying that he hated the role of Luke Skywalker and all of this stuff that they made him do because it wasn't what Luke would have done. That whole last trilogy was an absolute train wreck and a disaster. But Rogue One, Solo were amazing. Didn't they? I thought they were gonna have a third one. I thought there was gonna be one. It was a 1-for-1. We had Rogue One, we had Solo. Was there another one or not? I think that was it. I think that's all they did. Yeah, he said it wasn't his Luke Skywalker. It wasn't anybody's Luke Skywalker. Are you kidding me? It was stupid. It was the worst, horrible, crappy. Oh, I hated it. There was nothing good about those movies. I guess except for the revenue that Disney made. But holy crap. The directors should be ashamed of themselves. They took an amazing franchise and they just drove it into the dirt. It's actually horrible. It got canceled? Oh. The next one got canceled? No, Mandalorian was good. I don't think I've seen all of Mandalorian. I'm halfway through it or something. But Mandalorian so far has been pretty good. Oh, they did one for Obi-Wan. They did an Obi-Wan. That was good. I liked that one. It's the story of Obi-Wan when Luke is still a boy and Obi-Wan is basically like exiled type of thing. I enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty cool. They only had one season that came out. I hope they're going to have more because I thought that was really good. But it's amazing. You know, it's crazy how so many of the movies and series can be so good for Star Wars and then some of them can be so bad. It's crazy. Yeah, Solo was good. I liked Solo. They did some amazing casting. Like, the casting for Han Solo himself was amazing. The casting for the card player, who was his name? Lando Calrissian. The casting, oh my gosh, it was so good. Jeez. Yeah, so anyway, I liked it. All right, let's get some more questions here. Do you remember the first module you played? It was 2nd edition Forgotten Realms box set. There was a little short module that took place in Shadowdale, and I DM'd it, I think, for some players. That's all I remember. If I want to buy an old DM magazine, where could I get one? An old Dungeon Master magazine? I don't know. There are lots of Dungeon Master magazines. I'm not sure. If you're talking about Lair magazine, the magazine that we create, then you can get them on the DM Lair store. Hopefully one of my moderators can throw one in the chat. That would be awesome. Other magazines, I don't know. There, Goliath's got it. There we go. There, you can get back issues of Lair magazine on the DM Lair store right there. Oh, Donald Glover. Yes, that's the dude who played Lando Calrissian. That guy was... That guy was crazy in that role. That guy was amazing. Oh my gosh. That's probably some of the best acting I've seen in a long time. It was just spectacular. Well, I mean, the Star Trek casting was great too. Oh my gosh. The Star Trek movies, the most recent ones that they were doing. Oh geez. Captain Kirk, and Spock, and Ulu, and Akura. Jeez, I don't know. I'm screwing up her name. All of that casting was spectacular as well. Oh, geez. They're like spot on. It was so good. Megan, first time as a dungeon master next week. Any tips? Yes. Relax. It'll be fine. Don't get too worried about things. Just do your best. It'll be fine. You'll have fun. Your players will have fun. Even if you feel like you suck, your players are probably still going to enjoy themselves and have fun because they're probably looking forward to playing the game as well. You know, and if your players are reasonable human beings, they will acknowledge the fact that it's your first time and they're going to be forgiving and roll with it. You know, they're probably not going to expect you to deliver the most amazing game in the world because it's your first time. And so don't worry about it. And just recognize that it's okay to not have the most bestest game in the world your first time. Like anything in life, you probably aren't that good when you first do it, and then you get better as you do it more and more. Well, most people get better at things in life. I mean, we've all had that teacher who's been a teacher for 20 years, and they're like the worst teacher in the world. So not everything applies to the whole time makes you better. But you'll get better, so don't worry about it. Just relax. You'll be fine. All right, okay, here we go. Is solo play worth it? I can't find a group to play D&D with. I don't know how you play D&D by yourself, man. I mean, dude, you can play D&D online. Even if you can't find an in-person group to play with, you can find groups online. You're literally online right now sending messages at me. Find an online group to play with. Like, it can be done. I've never played solo, so I can't speak to it. I'm not gonna play D&D by myself. I'm not, okay? If I can't find a group anywhere for whatever reason, I'm playing a computer game. I'm gonna paint minis. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna play D&D by myself. I'm gonna find something. I'm gonna find an alternative. Play Skyrim or something. I don't know. Oh, one of my moderators says that a well-known YouTuber said that solo play is a viable alternative if you have no group. Whatever. Somebody made a video. Hey, play solo. No, don't play solo, dude. Find a group. You're online. You can find a group, man. Or you can go play a different game. D&D. Listen. D&D wasn't made to be played by yourself, man. You're trying to make it fit into a box that it's not meant to be fit in. It's probably not going to work very well. You know, it's like, can you pound a nail in with a sword? Well, technically, but geez, man. Wouldn't you be better off hacking apart like something else? I don't know, dude. So I don't care. Just because somebody made a video about it doesn't mean it's true. I would play a computer game before I played D&D by myself. I'm sorry, I would. I don't view it as a viable alternative. Find a group or find a different game. Play a computer game about D&D. I mean, geez, man. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't talk about it because I've never actually played it by myself before. But I'm never gonna try playing it by myself. It's ridiculous. That was like a video geared toward people who have no friends and nobody likes them and they're all by themselves, and so let's give them a video that encourages them. It's like, no, just play a game that's suited for you, man. Just find a different game, man. It's okay. It's okay. D&D cannot be everything for everyone. There are other games out there that might work better. It's okay. It's okay. As a first-time dungeon master, would you recommend Rime of the Frost Maiden? Look, are there going to be some parts in it that are a little more challenging for you? Yes, because Rime of the Frost Maiden, there are parts of it that are designed to be much more open world and sandboxy. So you just need to be careful to give plot hooks that you're ready to run. But I don't think it's a problem as long as you are careful, Chloe, and only give them plot hooks for the things that you're ready for them to go do. I would think you'd be okay. If you like it and if it sounds interesting to you and you're excited to run Rime of the Frost Maiden, I'd say give it a go. I don't think that it's that big of a deal. You'll figure it out and you guys will probably have fun. Just control your plot hooks. Control your plot hooks. Only give them plot hooks for the things you have prepared and are ready for them to do, and you'll be fine. Uh-oh. People's language is getting out of control. Are people cursing? Are they calling me bad names? Are they being mean to me? Game mastering myself. What adventures do you recommend for a new game master? Into the Fae. I mean, I'm gonna have to recommend Into the Fae. That's the module that my team and I wrote and that we published. That was our first Kickstarter. Everything about that is completely manageable for a first-time dungeon master. In fact, the giveaway that we're doing tonight is for Into the Fae. You can get the hard copy of Into the Fae, or you can get store credit for the DM Lair store if you don't live in the US, because I can't ship internationally. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Way too much of this for me to do. And customs paperwork and headache and then fees and then books getting I'm not doing it. I used to work in logistics. Not doing it. So anyway, the giveaway tonight is for Into the Fae. So the giveaway ends tonight. We're drawing the winner in about 15 minutes. So you should go sign up for the giveaway now. Ooh, the Colonel says he's ran Into the Fae and it's very good. Cool. The Colonel's like, he's a moderator. He has to say that. Always be careful. Like, I like produced the book and I, published the product, so I have to say that it's very good. So always be careful. Remember, when people have inescapable biases, take what they say with a grain of salt. So when I recommend my own product, take it with a grain of salt. Let's see ones you should not run. Storm King's Thunder. Don't run that as a first time dungeon master. Don't even touch Storm King's Thunder. That is a hot flaming mess for a first time dungeon master. Just throw that out and just ignore it. What else should you not touch as a first time dungeon master? Princes of the Apocalypse would have some difficulties in it. You might not want to touch Princes of the Apocalypse. I would avoid that one. I'm not going to go into my reasoning for all of these because let's pull up the list of adventures right now and talk about ones that first time dungeon masters should or should not run. And then now I'm not super familiar with every single adventure that's out there. I'm going to do the very best that I can. Because some of these I don't even buy anymore because some of them do not appeal to me at all. Wizards increasingly is publishing products that do not appeal to me, and so I've stopped buying most of their stuff. Source books. Okay. View all the adventures. Okay, let's just walk through these. Lost Mine of Phandelver, that's a starter thing. I've heard good things about it. Hoard of the Dragon Queen, avoid. Rise of Tiamat, avoid. This is for first time dungeon masters. Everything that I've heard about Hoard of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat is train wreck. These two, or at least one of them, was written before the core rules were even done. That tells you something. Prince of the Apocalypse, avoid. No, maybe it was Out of the Abyss. Out of the Abyss sounds interesting, but there are way too many NPCs in there that could cause problems, but you could solve it easily. But this is a maybe. Curse of Strahd, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think if you're a first-time dungeon master, you could run this, and it's not a big deal. Storm King's Thunder, there's an entire chapter in there that's just a big mess. I would avoid it. Tales from the Yawning Portal, half of these adventures suck, and the other half are good. So maybe. Tome of Annihilation, I'm not familiar with it. I really can't tell you. I don't know what the heck that is. Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I think Waterdeep Dragon Heist is very doable for a first-time dungeon master. I think you'd be fine there. Dungeon of the Mad Mage. This is a maybe. I think that there are some elements of running Dungeon of the Mad Mage that would be challenging for a first-time dungeon master, but I think it's doable. I have no idea what that is. Ghosts of Salt Marsh. It's the adventures skip around. It doesn't have an adventure for every level necessarily. This is more like a anthology kind of it is literally an anthology of various adventures that were published beforehand that they redid for 5th edition. I've read a few of these, but not all of them. So I'm going to put this as a maybe, but the ones that I read sounded really cool. This is like one of those. Ghosts of Salt Marsh is probably one of those modules that I want to run myself one day. Dragon of Icefire Peak. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Descendant to Avernus. I played through a portion of this, and my gut tells me you could probably do that as a first-time Dungeon Master. I don't think it would be that big of a deal, but I haven't read the whole thing, so I'm just kind of like guessing at this point. Not sure. I have no idea what that is. I don't know what the heck this is. Rick and Morty? No, I don't know. What is that garbage? Cartoon? I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Icewind Dale, Frost Maiden. This one might be a little challenging for a first-time Dungeon Master, but because it can be very open world. But if you control your plot hooks and only give the players plot hooks for things that you are ready to run, you'll be fine. I don't think that should be a problem though. I've read through a good portion of Icewind Dale, and I think sounds like it's a really cool module. So I would not dissuade new Dungeon Masters from running it. Candlekeep Mysteries, I haven't read this. I have the book, but it didn't really interest me a whole lot, so I can't really give you any information on that. The Witch Beyond the Witchlight, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, I might own this. I think I own this, but I haven't read any of it, so I really don't know. I can't tell you anything about this. Call of the Netherdeep, I haven't read it. I have the book, haven't read it. The Radiant Citadel, I didn't even buy this book. Their marketing for this pretty much told me that this book was not written for me, and I just skipped it totally, and I will never buy that book. Nothing about that appealed to me. I don't know what that is. Spelljammer? Spelljammer, okay. So Spelljammer, if you don't know, by the way, Spelljammer, let's check. Okay, it's time to go full screen for this. If you can believe it, if there's any way to fathom how this happened, Wizards of the Coast published the Spelljammer setting, which is a setting in space. And my understanding is, I didn't buy it because it didn't interest me, but my understanding is that they don't have rules for ship-to-ship combat. Can someone confirm? Like, this is what I heard. Is this accurate? Did they not publish ship-to-ship combat rules in Spelljammer? Did they have it or not? That is accurate. Okay, the Colonel has the book and says it's accurate. And so this blows my mind. How do you, a professional publishing company, or you make the game, it's D&D, it's your game, and you publish a campaign setting that is space. The campaign setting features ships in space, and there are no rules for ship-to-ship combat. Like, what can you say about that? What can you say? How do you do that? This is like publishing an adventure that has Vecna as the final boss, and you don't include the Vecna stat block. How do you do that? How do you manage to get yourself into... And everybody has ripped apart. Everybody has ripped apart Spelljammer. Like, you know, How to Be a Great Game Master I watched his video on Spelljammer, and this was a while ago when it came out, and so I don't remember all the details. I have a very selective memory. And I only remember the things that I actually use, and everything else just fades to black. But anyway, How to Be a Great GM did a video on the Spelljammer thing that was amazing. And he ripped it apart all over the place. And it's like, man. Yeah, so lots of people were ripping apart Spelljammer because it was just a train wreck, apparently. There was just so much messed up with it. And this is kind of what I was alluding to before when I was talking about how I don't buy a lot of their products anymore, because more and more their products are either not made for me, and they have a totally different demographic they're going after, or they're just not good. And I hear things like Spelljammer and the fiasco, and it's like, geez, guys, get your poop in a group and figure out, you know, you're Wizards of the Coast. You're like the official company for D&D. Like, you have, like, if you look at the number of people that work on these books, there's like 50 plus people that work on these books. Like, you would think that with a group that big collaborating together, like, that you can get it across the finish line in one piece, unless they're all just hitting each other in the room and there are too many cooks in the kitchen. You know, I don't know, man. But some of these things are just mind-boggling. You know, it's like they're worrying about the wrong things. You know, they're worrying about what people say on Twitter and social media. You know, and they're worrying about appeasing the people that will never be appeased. They're worrying about the wrong things, and the right things, the things that actually, like, your products are suffering. Like, you know, your head is in a different game. And so, you know, it's like the quarterback. It's like the quarterback on the field during the game, and all he's thinking about is his girlfriend. You know, he's not gonna play a good game. He's distracted. He's gonna screw it up, man. You know, so I don't know. Sorry, I'm done. Let's go to a different question. Anyway, those are my recommendations for modules for first-time dungeon masters. Thank you. I think it probably is. It's probably a situation of too many cooks in the kitchen. You can definitely have too many cooks in the kitchen, and misplaced priorities. And here's the other thing, Mr. Gore. In large corporations, I will always blame the suits, the people in the C-suite, the managers and directors and vice presidents. I will always blame them for any shortcoming in the published work. Because a lot of times in these companies, the people on the front lines who are doing the actual work, they're doing good work and they're getting stuff done. Now, some of them suck, right? But some of them are doing really good work and they know what's going on. But you get really bad management decisions. Like, leadership gives you really bad decisions and decides to do things that you don't have a choice because you just work there. And if you don't do what they tell you to do, you lose your job. And so you do it. But sometimes people in management make really bad decisions and it screws things up really badly. Like for instance, how do you not have ship-to-ship combat? I 100% guarantee you somebody on that team that wrote Spelljammer was like, hey, we need to have a ship-to-ship combat. I guarantee you somebody brought that up. 100% guarantee you. And I 100% guarantee you that somebody in management shot it down and said, no, we're not doing ship-to-ship combat. For some reason. I 100% guarantee you that happened. The team wanted to do it, and they had all good reason to do it, but somebody in management shot it down and said, we're not doing it. And that's that. Like, that had to have happened. How is it that nobody on that team thought of ship-to-ship combat? They must have thought of it. They must have. Like, this is how corporations run. You know, somebody thought of it and then their idea got shot down. Somebody wanted to flex their muscles, or it was a political thing, you know. I don't know, something happened there. There's a story there, something that happened that we're probably never going to find out about. Unless there's a leak. Matt Mercer will figure it out when they go to the moon. What is that about? oh, Matt Mercer will. When his. Okay, I understand now. I got you. All right, let's find another question here. How do you quickly build towns if your party loves to travel? We had a town builder in one of our recent issues of Lair magazine. Zach, if you're still here, maybe you can drop in chat which issue this was in. But one of our issues of Lair magazine literally had a bunch of had a bunch of tables that could help you quickly build a city on the fly. Literally, there were tables there that you could quickly put together information for a city in case your players came upon it. I made a video about it too. You can look on my channel about creating towns and cities. I made an entire video about it, and in the video I have links over to that issue of Lair magazine as well. But we thought about this, and we're like, dungeon masters need a way to create cities quickly on the fly because their players go unexpected places sometimes. And so I will reference that and refer you to that, and go check that out because that should be helpful. And then, okay, Zach's gonna find it really quick and tell you which issue it was in. Does Into the Fae have a lot of parts that are individually drag and drop, or do they pretty much work together as one linear campaign? So Into the Fae was designed as a module to work together. So can you drag and drop adventures out of it? Yes, you can. You're going to need to do some rework and so that it fits into your campaign. It can be done, but it was not designed to be dragged and dropped. Into the Fae was literally designed to be ran as a module all together. That's the way it was designed. I'm not going to lie to you. And if you drag and drop, it's going to take a little bit of work. It can be done, but there's going to be some work to it. Now, if you really want drag and drop adventures, then what you're looking for is Lair magazine. Every issue of Lair magazine has 2 to 3 adventures in it, and those are absolutely drag and droppable into your campaign. 2 of them, every other issue has an adventure arc in it, which has 3 adventures that are meant to be played together, but you can drag and drop them without a lot of effort. Now, the other issue just has 2 completely standalone ones that are drag and droppable with almost no effort whatsoever. So if what you're looking for is really drag and droppable adventures, then Lair magazine is what you want, because you're going to get lots of those, and other resources like puzzles, because who struggles to make puzzles in their games? Who has a hard time coming up with puzzles? Let me tell you, I'm running a game right now for patrons, and there's one of them that wants puzzles, who loves puzzles. And guess what Luke can't do? Luke can't make puzzles for the life of me. And so what do? I literally go to Lair magazine, my own publication, and I take puzzles from there, I drag them and drop them into my game for my patrons. Now, I have the advantage of having puzzles that have not been published yet. So the puzzles that I can put in there are ones they've never seen before. Or what I'll do is I'll go to really old issues of Lair magazine and I'll grab a puzzle from there. And so, yeah, you get puzzles in Lair magazine. You're going to get traps as well. I'm a little better at traps, but I still read the traps that we publish and steal ideas because it's doing my work for me. It makes my job easier. Now, there are some parts of the game that I enjoy much more and that I'm good at, like creating adventures, and so I don't use the adventures from Lair magazine because I like creating my own. But the elements that I need help with, puzzles and traps and sometimes monsters or something, those things I'll pull out of Lair magazine and I'll use those, you know. And so even some parts of it I'm using in my games, you know. And that's the idea. That's the entire purpose of Lair magazine. It's a resource that you use to the extent that you need to. Some of the things you pull and you use, other things you don't, because you do it yourself and you're fine, you know. So anyway, oh yeah, DM Lair patrons get Lair magazine every month, by the way, in case you don't know. I mean, I talk about it all the time, but throw that out there. I think we already did that one. All right, I think it's time to do the giveaway. We're gonna do the giveaway now. Oh my goodness. All right. I did the best I could with answering as many questions as I could. I know I did a bunch of tangents. All right, here we go. We're gonna draw the winner of the giveaway. Whee! Oh shoot, I missed some tips. Crap. I totally missed these. Lord God, you tipped $25 for Canines for Warriors. Thank you so much, dude. And Kirby also tipped $25. Thank you, Kirby. I appreciate that. And Corey D tipped $26. Thank you, Corey, for tipping. All your guys' tips are going to go to Canines for Warriors. They're the charity that we're currently raising money for. I really appreciate that. And we're at about, I can't really quite see it, 200 something it looks like raised for them so far. So that's awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. We come for tangents. Yeah. Oh yeah, the giveaway. Let's do that. Draw the winners. Draw winners. Oh, I should do that. Here we go. Drawing the winners. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Yeah. All right. The winner is Solanus. Solanus. That is your YouTube name. Congratulations. You have won. I will be sending you an email so you can give me your information so I can get you hooked up with Into the Fae. So, wee. I don't know if you're still here. You don't have to be here, but congratulations, dude. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all she wrote. I'll be here next week doing another live stream. We'll answer questions and stuff. If I didn't get to your question, I'm sorry. Go to my Discord, join my Discord, ask your question over there. There are lots of wonderful people over there that can help you as well. I am not the only one who can answer your questions. That would be sad if that were true. But there are lots of amazing dungeon masters over on my Discord that would probably be more than happy to help you out as well. So please join the Discord. And I'm out of here. I'm gonna go. I got to do some work. I got to get some work done before I go to bed. I got more work to do tonight before bedtime. So, all right.
Bye, everybody.